This is Favors Financial Topics, various topics. Mate value then is a predictor of infidelity intentions. So Bus and Shackelford suggests that individuals with greater mate value than their long-term partners are more likely to report an intention to commit an infidelity. This suggests a positive relationship between mate value and infidelity, and mate value and infidelity opportunity. So the person with a greater mate value is the one who is, and this is a greater mate value than their long-term partners, are more likely to report an intention to commit an infidelity, because it goes back to the options. It's what my money can buy. I've often heard YouTubers, have this discussion about black men, and when they don't have much, they usually marry a come-up woman, right? And that's essentially to secure themselves financially. But when they get whatever they're going to get, maybe a better job that pays higher pay, they become a baller or rapper or something like that, where they increase in their financial status, then they look at the money that they have and they say, well, I can purchase more. Whereas I was only able to purchase the Toyota, I can purchase now a Porsche. I could purchase a Bentley. I can purchase a Rolls Royce. And they look at women as investments in terms of how they think about cars. And so they'll have a Honda, they'll have a Ford, then they'll have a Buick, and then they'll have whatever the next level is, until they get that Porsche or that Lamborghini or that type of car that they feel matches their social status. Now, they haven't sat down and done a budget. They haven't sat down to see how well this is going to fare long term in terms of the types of cars. And at the same time, they haven't sat down to budget emotionally if the person that they get at the next level, who might represent a Porsche or a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, they haven't sat down to think about whether or not that type of person can operate with them on that level, and if they can keep that type of person long term. Because if you lose the Rolls Royce car, you're going to lose the Rolls Royce woman. Because that's the type of person who's going to get with another person who represents a Rolls Royce or a Porsche or a Tesla or any of the very expensive cars that showcase your status and showcase your wealth. It goes back to learning goal orientation and performance goal orientation, that if you stick with the come-up woman and you increase her value, which then subsequently increases your value, then you will have it's you learning, it's you not skipping over tests, and it's you becoming a master of your relationship with that woman, with that one woman, versus getting off the road, getting off the path of learning and using your money to go and seek something higher so you can look smart, which is performance goal orientation. So you can look like a baller. You can look like a person who got this type of wealth. Even if you really do have it, you can really do have riches and wealth and status and networks and things like that, but you have skipped over some steps that were necessary for you to sustain yourself at that level. So that means if you get that big mansion, you're going to be working forever to keep that up, because the taxes are going to be high. You need to pay it off so you can have a home. And then the person you get with, who looks like a person who should be at that level with you, she's going to want higher. She's going to want higher than that, because then the women who are at that level are all competing with each other then. And so who has the biggest house, who has the higher value house, who can sit up there with the boss, things like that, right? So the individual with a greater mate value than their long-term partner or partners are more likely to report an intention to commit infidelity. You can look at the Brad Pitt, Angela Jolie, Jennifer Aniston. Between the three of them, Brad Pitt really had the greater mate value. Not necessarily because he's a man, but if you look at him between Jennifer Aniston and Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston had friends, but Brad Pitt is Brad Pitt. And Brad Pitt was a nobody prior to becoming Brad Pitt. And he was with other women prior to becoming Brad Pitt. But as he moved from just regular old Brad Pitt to becoming the Brad Pitt, and standing alone as Brad Pitt, he increased in mate value, which means that he increased in the women that he chose to be with. And Jennifer Aniston was hot in the moment on Friends, so that it only made sense to bring Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston together because they're both hot. But then when you look at a comparison between Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie had greater mate value than Jennifer Aniston, even though Jennifer Aniston had friends. Angelina Jolie had films. She had been acting from a time whenever, and she just had greater mate value. And she was working, I think, with the UN, and that increased her mate value. So then, because Brad Pitt just did not choose her based upon her being Angelina Jolie, there had to be some value that was attached to her. She wanted kids. Jennifer Aniston did not want to have kids. Angelina Jolie wanted to do some humanitarian work. Jennifer Aniston is not interested in really humanitarian work. So then he looks at his own mate value. Then he looks at the mate values of the two women that are basically competing for his attention, and he goes with the mate value that he feels is where he's going or where he wants to go. The problem with that is it proved that Angelina Jolie wasn't a long-term partner, that Jennifer Aniston likely would have been the long-term partner that would have stuck out with him, loved him, taken care of him if he got sick. And so he was willing to take that risk, cheat on his wife, and go with someone that he believed had a greater mate value, and now it's costing him. It's costing him relationships with the kids they share. It's costing money through the courts. It's costing, it cost the relationship that he had with Jennifer Aniston. That divorce costs. It cost the relationship that he had with Angelina Jolie per se, and any cost related to that. It cost him his reputation. I'm not quite sure that he lost roles, but you can say that it likely cost him some money, right? For that one decision, using his mate value to determine whether he should stay with the potential of a long-term partner and instead go to a short-term partner. So this suggests a positive relationship between mate value and infidelity, and mate value and infidelity opportunities. So when you think about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, that's another example. Johnny Depp has built this long-lasting reputation of work ethic in the film industry, and it only took one relationship to bring that to a halt, to bring his reputation to a halt. He was with someone prior to Amber Heard, Vanessa Paradis, I think, for 18 years, and they never married. And then he got with Amber Heard, he married her, and you see what the cost. So he looked at his mate value. His mate value was much worthy of marrying Amber Heard than Vanessa Paradis. Now, I don't know if Vanessa Paradis just didn't want to marry him, but that's a long time to stay with somebody for 18 years and make a decision not to. And so I don't know if he cheated on Vanessa Paradis for Amber Heard. Regardless, there was an opportunity in using his mate value to increase his mate value with Amber Heard, and it proved to be a bad risk. It affected the roles he can have. It affected his reputation all the money spent in divorce proceedings, in depositions, going to court, trying to keep his reputation, it wasn't worth it. So that's something that you want to think about when you are thinking about your mate value and whether or not your mate value is worthy of someone else, and whether or not you think, okay, I'm going to use my mate value to get with somebody I believe has higher mate value, and then we can be high value mates together. Different facets of mate value predict infidelity. Both men and women reported that factors predicting infidelity intention were those that resulted in a consequential net gain based upon one's own perception of mate value and one's partner's mate value. So there is an initial gain. When Johnny Depp got with Amber Heard, there was an initial gain. They looked like a great couple together or something like that. When Brad Pitt decided to exit his relationship with his wife and get with Angelina Jolie, and they went to one of those awards season shows or something like that, and you heard the journalists and the hostess and all those people on the red carpet talking about calling them royalty. Now, he's just left his wife for his affair partner, but they're royalty now, because in many regards they are kind of royalty. Brad Pitt on his own as Brad Pitt, and Angelina Jolie on her own as Angelina Jolie. And so they come from their beginnings working in the industry young and all the way up, and people base royalty on how well they look together, the attractiveness of them, and how well they think they look together. And so there is a consequential net gain in the beginning, but as we see, and they're basing it on their perception of their own mate values and their partner's mate value. And so Brad Pitt just assumed that Angelina Jolie would have a greater mate value than Jennifer Aniston. And I mean, that's something, as much as men love to say that men cheat on women because women don't keep themselves up. Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Aniston absolutely kept herself up. She looks great as a woman, right? So that doesn't have attractiveness really doesn't always have a lot to do with it. People, if they see an opportunity, they're going to take the opportunity. Men more than women. Women think too long about the opportunity, and they might take it or they might not take it. If you see it at the higher level and the people that they call gold diggers, they know they need to secure the bag early. That's why they try to get married, and that's why they try to get the baby as early as possible so they can secure the bag. You almost have to wonder, what if Kate Middleton couldn't have any kids at all? What would have happened? Do you think that Prince William might have left, cheated on her or something like that? Because he got to have an heir to the throne. And that's something also to think about. In other words, the likelihood of reporting some intention to commit an infidelity is higher when that infidelity is more likely to result in an increase in one's own mate value, or in the replacement of one's current partner with a new partner who is comparatively more valued. So Brad Pitt chunks Jennifer Aniston to increase his mate value with Angelina Jolie, who he perceived as comparatively more valuable than Jennifer Aniston. In other words, he picked the person that he believed had more value comparatively. They both had value as individuals. They both have good mate value, Jennifer Aniston and Angelina Jolie. But he picked the person, he chose the person that had comparatively more valuable, who was comparatively more valuable. And I just wonder sometimes how easy it is for you to leave somebody that you've been married to for so many years, you've engaged in, and all of a sudden you just leave that person. I don't think you really wanted to be with that person. I'm not saying that person forced you to be with him or her, But it's just interesting to me how people can just easily leave a situation without really thinking through the implications. All right. Hopefully you were able to gain some insight from this series topic. Like, subscribe, and visit. Like the video, hit the notification bell for future videos. You can visit my website, which is still in development, reginayfavors.com. You can always email me with a question, reginayfavors@yahoo.com. You will be able to purchase the book by the end of October 2021. I'm hoping that I will have it completed, completely revised rather. It is already written and done. I just have to edit it. It is Overcoming Setback, 5 Keys for Entering and Exiting Correction. Thank you for visiting the channel. Coming soon is my new book that I am working on presently and hope to complete by the end of the year, December 2021, preferably February 2022, and that is Favors Financial Recovery, Psychological Approaches to Overcoming Financial Setback with some workbook elements. So it is the it will be the book that will support the audio series, although I have developed the audio series prior to actually writing the book. So be on the lookout for this new book. When it comes out, when I finish, I will create an audio introduction to the book. Thank you again for visiting the channel.